Happy Monday, my blended friends. Today we're going to take your ability to solve equations to the next level. We are introducing the idea of variables on both sides. So we are showing you 4 steps above. The first one is to simplify. Okay, we're going to simplify. And that means that we're going to look to see if there's any distribution, combine any like terms, to the point where we get it so that it's a variable term and then a units term, and the variable term and the units term. And of course our equation is our equal sign is right here. So everything is collected on the left, and now everything is also collected on the right. There's really nothing to do on this one. And now we're going to use inverse operations to move variables to one side. So remember, the inverse means we flip it to move it, right? So if it was positive 2x, it's now negative 2x, and we're moving the variable. We now have 6x plus 17, let's just keep it, equals 35. Okay, what happened to my 2x? Well, we moved it over and we subtracted it off of 8x. Now, what's the next step? Solve the remaining equation. So we need to now flip and then use the inverse method to move the units to the other side. Okay, so now we have 6x equals 18. That took me too long. Okay. Now, to solve for x, we're going to take this pile of 18 and we're going to divide it into 6 groups. And x is equal to 3. Well, what does it mean that x is equal to 3? It means that we go back to the original equation, and every time we see an x, we're going to put in the number 3. Because we found that x is equal to 3. And if we solved it correctly, the left side of this equation is going to balance with the right side. So 8 times 3 is 24, plus 17 is 41. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 35 is also 41. So is it true that 41 is equal to 41? Yes, it is. All right, let's do another one. So we have all of our steps done where we've simplified. There's no distribution, there's no combining like terms. So now we need to draw our line, and we need to move all of our variable terms to one side. Bring down the plus 8 and keep the negative 37. Okay, now the next step is to move all the units to the other side, so that we are left with the variable terms on one side and the units on the other. Next, we're going to take this pile of negative 45 units and divide them into 5 groups. We found that k is equal to negative 9. Again, we can go back and put that into the equation. And there's a reason for this down the road here soon. And we're saying that k is negative 9. Oops, that was supposed to be 37, not 30k. All right, 7 times 9 is 63. Positive times negative is negative, so negative 63 plus 8, which means we're actually going to have less negatives when we're done. So we have 50, what? 55. And then we have negative 18 minus 37 also equals negative 55. So checks out that negative 55 is equal to negative 55. Let's do another practice one. What do we do first? First thing we're going to do is move the m's to the same side. Bring down the other numbers. Now we need to move all of our units to the other side, so that we are left with 8m on one side and 16 on the other. Now, why did I move them that way? I moved them that way because by subtracting the m up top to the right side, it kept all my m's positive. Could I have subtracted 9m and moved it to the left? Yes, I could have, but then I would have had negative 8m on the left. And I don't really want to know what negative m is. I want to know what the value of positive m is. So I moved them to the right to keep them positive. Taking that pile of 16, dividing it into 8 groups, each one gets 2. Again, checking it. Every time you see an M, you put the number 2. So 2 plus 3 is 5, equals 9 times 2 is 18 minus 13, which is also 5. 5 is equal to 5. True statement. All right, I want you to pause the video. See if you can do this one on your own. Then unpause the video. Follow my steps. So that way, if you get lost along the way, you can see where maybe you got lost. I really want you to pause it. Try this one on your own. Okay, now I'm going to assume that you've unpaused it because you've gotten as far as you can get on your own. Now let's do this one together. I'm going to pick the smaller one here. I'm going to move, actually, I'll move this one here. This will give me a bigger positive. It's okay if you did it the other way. It's not going to break it. Okay, so for y, if I have 4 positives and 3 negatives, I have 1 positive left over. I always think in terms of money or debt, right? Negative means debt. So back up to here. If I borrowed $3 from my mom, but I pay her back 4, then I'm actually plus 1, right? I only owed her 3. Okay, so 6 units equals y plus 12. Now I have to get all of the units to the same side. Remember, a unit is something that does not have a variable. And so therefore y, this part zeroes out, and y equals negative 6. Again, I think I had $6, but I had to spend 12. I didn't have enough, so I had to borrow 6. So I'm $6 in debt. All right, let's check it. Negative 4 times something plus 6 is equal to, well, what's that something? We said it was negative 6 was our answer. Is equal to negative 3 times something plus 12. And again, we said that negative 6 was our answer. So negative times negative is positive. 4 times 6 is 24. 24 plus 6 is 30. Let's see how that goes. 3 times 6 is 18. Negative times negative is positive. We have positive 18 plus 12. Hey, guess what? That's also 30. We are good. All right, here comes number 5. I want you to pause it. Actually, this one's easy, right? Oh, I see. It's still a variable on both sides. Because, and here's why they did that. A lot of you might be tempted to do this. That's fine if you do. But now I have 8a plus 40, and now what? I can just see you guys doing it, because I used to do it. But really what it is, we can't just drop the equal sign. It's just that we have nothing over there. So now if I want to put my units over that side, I still can. Right? Right. We have to keep the balance. The scales are going. Just because I subtracted everything to one side doesn't mean that there's nothing on the other side. Or you could just drop the other side like it doesn't exist. Okay? If we have a balance, terrible picture. Looks like some weird alien. But if we have a balance, which is what these equations are, we're saying over here 6a plus 40 is equal to 2a. Okay? So negative 5 times positive 6, that equals negative 30. Negative 30 plus 40 is positive 10. So this side weighs plus 10. Negative 5 times 2a is minus 10. Therefore, this side weighs minus 10. So I've done something wrong somewhere. See, we've just got to check our work, and this is why you check your work. You know what it did? Look back at the beginning, the very, very beginning when I first started talking. I did 6a minus 2a, and what did I write? I wrote 8a. It's not 8a, Mrs. Evans. It's 4a. This is why we check our work. I didn't do that on purpose. I literally screwed up right here on camera in front of you. Well, not camera, but you know what I mean. So guess what this means? It means 4a, and then it means I'm taking that negative 40 pile of negative 40 stuff, dividing it into only 4 groups. And so the actual answer is negative 10. And really, then we have negative 10 times 6 is negative 60, plus 40 gives me positive 20. So if I put a is equal to negative 10, negative 60 plus negative 20, and then if I come over here and I put in negative 10 times 2a, is also negative 20. Now we got negative 20 equals negative 20. I'm going to leave that in the recording. I'm not editing it out because you need to see that we all make mistakes. It doesn't matter what level of mathematics you are. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how much you love math or dislike math. We all do it. Okay? And that was a very simple mistake, but I still made it right here. And I'm not editing it out. I hope you see this is why we check our work. Okay. Numeral 6. So at this point, I'm going to just keep working problems. If you feel comfortable to jump down to 13 and work on some with distribution, there is a Go formative. You can go right to the Go formative and stick your answers in. You don't have to do every problem. But for those of you that are still working on getting comfortable with this concept, I'm going to keep working on these problems. So you can pause the video and try to do as many steps as you can on your own. Then unpause the video and do it with me and see how far you got. And the goal is to get a little further each time. Okay, first step, we want to draw a line under the equal sign. And then the next step is we're going to move, flip and move, right? Flip and move these variable tiles together. In order to move it over that line, we have to flip it. We have to pay for moving it. You can't just move numbers around because it looks nice. So 5w plus 2w is 7w. And then again, we carry down the minus 29 equals 55. Okay, next step is to flip and move the unit tiles. Here we're zeroing those out. And carry down the 7W. And that is equal to, and now we have to add up what's on the other side of here. Okay, so now I'm going to divide this pile of 84 into 7 groups. 7 goes into 70 10 times. That's 14 left over. Well, 7 goes into 14 2 times. So therefore I know that 84 can be divided by 7 12 times. You can always get a calculator and check me. You won't hurt my feelings. Let's go. We've not learned anything. We've at least learned we should check our work. So we're going to put in the value we said W is equal to every time we see a W. So 5 times 12 is 60, minus 29. 60 minus 20 is 40, minus 9 more is 31. 2 times 12 is 24. We're subtracting 24, which is also 31. All right, let's do the next one. Please pause the video and try it on your own. See how far you can get, even if it's just to get the variables on one side. That's more than what you've been doing, then that's great. Let's just try it. Once you're done, unpause the video, check your work with mine. First step, move the variables together. We got them all zeroed out over here. We had 5p, we spent 5p, we have no more p on this side. We have 13p over here, and we're also having to spend 5p on this side of the equal sign. So we now are down to 8p. Okay, we take away 5p on the left, we have to take away 5p on the right. Why? Balance. It's an equal sign. You're saying the left side is equal to the right. So if I take 5p off the left, it's not equal anymore. But if I take 5p off the right, now they're both equal. They're both short 5p, right? So now we're left with 8p. All right, next, we now need to get all the units to one side. So we're going to add 43 to this side to make 0. And we're going to pay off his debt. We're going to add 43 to the other side. Again, keeping balance in an equation. So we're actually going to kind of do like a reverse subtraction. I always think the bigger number goes on top. Subtract 11. So that gives me 32. Equals 8p. Now, I have this pile of 32 units, and I have to put them into 8 groups. And so 32 divided by 8 is 4. Did you get it? It's okay if you didn't. How many steps were you able to do on your own? Were you able to move the variables over to one side? If so, good job. See if next time you can get the variables on one side and the units on the other. Let's try it with this one. Okay, pause the video, do it yourself, unpause the video and check your steps. Okay, I'm going to assume you've got it done, and now we're working together to check your work. How many C's is that? Well, that's 1 C. Here it's 0 C's, but we're adding 1 C to the other side. Where's the number 1? Well, we don't have to write it, right? We say, oh, I have a pencil. Can I borrow a pencil? Not can I borrow 1 pencil. It's a C. A C is 1 C. So I have 5 C and I have a C, so I have 6 C. All right, equals -50. Now, were you able to get the unit tiles on the other side? Add 2. I now have 0 on this side, and I have negative 48 on this side. I was in debt $50. I paid 2 of it off. I now have 48 in debt still to pay off. I'm going to take that pile of negative 48, I'm going to divide it into 6 groups. For some of you, your multiplication tables hold you back. It would be really good to keep drilling 6s, 3s, 7s, 8s. 6 times 8 is 48. So if I have negative 48 divided by 6, it's negative 8. Being able to do that in the automatic part of your brain is really going to save you some stress in high school as well. Okay, notice I'm not checking them right now. I'm just trying to encourage you through the video here. Because, as you can see, the problems are getting a little longer. What's going to be our first step? Well, you could get all the variables to one side, but the best first step is to first simplify, collecting all the like terms. So I have negative 2x minus 16 equals negative 23 minus 9x. Now, I'm going to add 9x and add 9x, which gives me 7x minus 16 equals negative 23. Plus 16 plus 16, 7x is equal to, what is that, 7? Negative 7. Take that pile of negative 7, divide it into 7 groups, x is equal to negative 1. Again, oops, that should be negative 1. You could go back up into the equation there and put a negative 1 in every time, and hopefully you would see that the left side balances the right side. Let's do it. First step, combine like terms. Like term, like term. So 6r minus 5 minus 23 plus 8r. What's the next step? Move all the variables to the same side, which means subtract 6r so they zero out, and you have to do it to both sides to make it fair. Okay, add 23, add 23, which makes this 23 minus 5, 18, equals 2r. And I'll move it down here. We have a pile of 18, divided into 2 groups. R is equal to 9. Okay, you know the drill. Pause it. Make sure you work it on your own as much as possible. Then unpause it and see how you're doing. First step, combine like terms. We have more like terms to combine this time. 9a and negative 7a can be combined together to make 2a. And then 3a and 2a can be combined together to make 5a. Now, next step, move all of the variables to the same side. Now, I have a pile of units on one side of the equal sign and a pile of variables on the other side of the equal sign. So now I divide those units into negative 3 groups, and a is equal to 11 because negative divided by a negative is a positive. All right, pause it. You try it. Then unpause it. Assuming you've paused it and you've given it your best shot, we're now going to put together all the like terms. So if you're still struggling at this point, what do you think it is that your struggle is? Is it maybe adding and subtracting the integers, the positive and negative numbers? Is it not sure of what next step to do? Is it multiplication? Is it division? can you figure out which part of this process is making things challenging for you? That is called metacognition. When you're able to think about your own thinking, it's an important part of being a student, being a scholar, is being able to identify the things that are tripping you up, the places you need help, and asking for help. Being able to think about your thinking. So here m is equal to 5. Is that what you got? All right, I'm going to move on to 13. So now we're starting to see some distributive coming in. And we've seen this a couple times before. It's coming back around again. Again, we're going to take this 4 and distribute it to the k. And then we're going to take this 4 and distribute it to the -2. And then we're going to take this 2 and distribute it to the k. And we're going to take this 2 and distribute it to the -9. Okay, and if all the colors are bothering you, I'll just rewrite the whole thing in one color. But I wanted you to see the association of the distribution. Now, what's our next step? Moving all of the variable terms to the other side. What's next? Moving the units. And now now that we have all the variables on the left and all of the units on the right, we're going to divide them into a pile, divide them by 2, and each one gets -8. Okay, if you've made it this far, you should be a champ. Try 14 on your own, start putting your answers in the Go formative, and see if you're getting some green lights. If not, please raise your hand and seek help. We are here to help you. Good luck.